But yeah, I'll get started. So I titled this drive-through therapy and how it could be like fast food. So if you enjoy fast food from time to time, drop your favorite emoji in the comments below. But I have a question for you, right? So if you're anything like me, like I don't eat fast food too much because it's not a good idea. Right? And I'm just too getting up there in age to be doing that kind of silly stuff often. But every once in a while I have like a serious craving for something that's god awful for me, but I just want it and I go get it, right? So maybe a Big Mac from McDonald's or like some chicken nuggets from Wendy's. You know, I feel like you just need it once in a while, right? Uh-oh, I said that in front of Sherry, who's like the health expert. I'm sorry. But as you know, you go through the drive-through, right? You buy the thing that you were craving, you eat it, and then what happens? You feel disgusting, you feel bloated, you feel like, ugh, like what was the point? Why did I even do that? And you regret it, right? So the reason I called this video, or I captioned it, drive-through therapy is much like fast food restaurant, is because as much as you kind of want to go for that quick food, drive in, drive out, quick, everything, we live in such a quick world. If we are taking therapy seriously and we really want to focus on our mental health, there's no way that we can expect to do it quickly. It normally never works out like that. And I know from experience because I've gone to therapy several times in my life. But this is the first time where I'm like, I don't care how long it takes me to stay. I want to heal once and for all. And it's interesting. I almost didn't do this video today because I've had actually a really rough week because I'm facing a lot of these things that I didn't even know were an issue in my life. So I'm doing that both in therapy at a therapist's office, a medical professional, and then I'm doing a spiritual healing journey as well. So it's almost been like a double whammy because I'm facing things twice a week. Well, 3 times because I have group therapy on Thursdays too. And it's been like really in my face. And I don't really regret taking that approach. Like it's been really, really hard, but I have no regrets about taking that approach. I think it's been actually really good for me, but it's hard. And it's been 6 months that I've been in intense therapy. And, I've gotten a few questions about like, well, why is it taking so long? Like if you're going so faithfully, why is it taking so long? Hey, Lindsay, thanks for watching. Yeah, and my explanation is, I don't even think that I understand this fully, is that it takes time, right? Sometimes things are instantaneous and sometimes things are a process. So let me just take a look at my notes just in case. Thank you. I do love the red glasses. So anyone who helped me pick the red, thank you so much. I mean, thank you to everyone who kind of helped with that, but I really do like the red. Like they're different. I like it. But let me stay on track. All right. So I was thinking about therapy today. I kind of like to pray and ask God, like, how should I focus? What do I focus on? What are the key things that I want to talk about? And I sit down and I kind of just write it all out and figure out what I like to talk about and get the inspiration from there. So, I'm curious, right? Who here enjoyed taking tests in school when you were younger, or who couldn't stand them? So if you like taking tests in school, which I did, I know it sounds weird, but if you like taking tests, drop a thumbs up emoji. And if you hated taking tests in school, drop a thumbs down. I loved taking tests. I was such a nerd, and I think in many ways I am still very much a nerd. But I love taking tests. But I know for other people, tests can cause actually anxiety in some people. Like they really freak out about taking tests. So I'm curious. Let me know. Thumbs up, love tests. Thumbs down, hate them. And then also, if you're watching, who here has gone to a medical professional because you have an ailment, right? So you fracture a leg or, you know, you're having a stomach problem, and what do? They send you out for tests, right? And I don't know about you, but those, I don't even see how you could like any of those tests. But if you've ever gone to a medical professional and been sent out for testing, drop your favorite emoji. I don't know, drop something in the comments. Tell me like, yes, been there for testing. And I was only thinking about this to bring it up today because I was asking myself, like, why does therapy take so long for people, right? Like, why am I 6 months into this and just scratching the surface? Like, why does that happen? We got some people that did not like tests, and let's see. Yeah, Lindsay, I can understand them. I liked them more as a child too, but college was really hard. Oh, I shouldn't have did that because now I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, so you go for these series of tests, right? Oh, that's what I was saying. So for therapy, right, you go week in and week out, and then sometimes like 6 months later, like I am, you're like, why am I only scratching the surface? And what I realize is that I think my view on therapy is different now, right? I think of therapy as both treatment and testing. And I know that sounds weird, so stay with me. But if you think about it, right, you go in to therapy for your treatment. You're going there to talk about what's going on in your life, to talk about some of, you know, the things that have caused damage in your life to heal. But I also am starting to see therapy as a series of tests, right? So you go in, if you've ever been to therapy, you know this is true. You start talking about one thing that's bothering you, and then you realize that it would like something else completely off is the real thing that's bothering you, and you didn't even think that. Like, you're like, I don't even think about that situation, so how could that be possible? But that's how our subconscious works, especially for any traumas or any things that have had huge impact on us, right? Give me a second, I need to settle down a little because I get passionate. But so, you know, it kind of like, it makes me think of examples like, you know, sometimes you could go in, you could be frustrated and say like, oh, I think I wrote this down, hold on. Or maybe I didn't, hold on, I'm so sorry. Oh, okay, right. So let's talk about, you know, you go in, you walk into therapy. I'm just giving you like a pretend example. You go in and you're like, yeah, I remember this time where I fell in school and it was so awful. And for whatever reason, that memory keeps coming up, right? And you think that you're bothered because you fell and you hurt yourself. But then as you're talking about the story, you realize that there were a bunch of people laughing at you when this happened and taunting you and calling you clumsy and stupid and, you know, just laughing at your situation. And as you're talking about that, you have like this aha moment and you're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe that's what really bothered me. Maybe it wasn't the injury itself, but maybe it was like the feeling of being like laughed at and taunted. If that's ever happened to you, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's how therapy works, right? So you go in, you talk about one thing, and it turns out it's something completely off that is bothering you that you need to address. So it's really a good thing. So again, I see therapy as both like a treatment and a series of tests to see what the root cause of the issues are in your life. What is causing this pain that causes you to do things that you don't necessarily want to do? So there's just 3 things that I wanted to talk about as far as therapy is concerned. Actually, it might be like there's like a 4th thing. So I always like to tell people, if you're gonna go see a therapist, don't assume that it's like, first of all, if you've never been to a therapist, it's not like in the movies. Like I don't recall ever seeing an office where you just like lay down and put your feet up. Like that's not what's happening. But one thing I like to tell people to do is to kind of like feel your therapist out to see if you're even going to do well with them, because sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just don't gel well with that doctor and you need to find someone else, because therapy is very much like a relationship. You need to be able to trust this person. You need to be able to know that their treatment style is something that you can agree with, right? Because if you're uncomfortable with your therapist, then chances are you're not really going to talk to them as freely as you would if you were comfortable. And the whole point of therapy is honesty and getting, rolling up your sleeves and getting ready to get dirty. And if you can't do that with your therapist, then it really is just a waste of both of your time. So I always tell people, when you're researching a therapist, it's perfectly okay to call them and ask questions. So let's say you were diagnosed with PTSD and you want to know if this therapist specializes or has any experience with someone who has PTSD. And you want to ask those questions, because ultimately I like to think of it as, I'm hiring this person with my needs, and I want to make sure that they can handle that. So call, ask questions, compare, one therapist to another, and see, what's best for you. And then once you make that first appointment and you meet them, the first appointment, if you've never gone, I'll just briefly tell you, the first appointment's mostly history. So they ask you things about your family history, about what's going on, what brought you there, etc. So it's not really a time where you get to know each other that much. In your second appointment, that's what you'll start doing, getting to know each other, talking about some of the reasons why you're there. And this is kind of when you get a feel for how your therapist operates. I would say right off the bat, ask them, once you get through why you're there, ask them, what is my treatment plan? What do you recommend as my treatment plan? Because the last thing you want to do, and this does happen, and this is why I'm talking about this, is you don't want to get stuck with somebody that you're seeing week after week after week after week, and there is no change at all, because all they're doing is listening to you talk about the week before. That's not very helpful. So I would really stay away from those kind of scenarios. You want to find a therapist. If you're looking to heal and you're looking to change, you're going to want to find a therapist who wants to work just as hard with you to get that accomplished. And so currently my therapist knows why I'm there, the many reasons I'm there. And we've developed a treatment plan to go through each of those things one by one and tackle them. And I'm being very aggressive with it because it's been years and years and years of buildup, and I'm just tired of it. And I want to work as hard as I can to get through these things and come out on the other end whole. So again, you're your best advocate. Interview your therapist, feel them out, check them out. And if in about a month you're not feeling like it's going to work out, it's okay to look for someone else. You're not bound to one doctor, and you shouldn't have to be. You need to find what works for you. And I'll just kind of leave that there. Also, if you're watching and you have any questions along the way, I would love to answer them. I love to feel like this is more of a conversation versus me just yapping, because I can do that well. But there's just 3 things that I wanted to cover about therapy. And this is for both the people that are in it or looking to go to a therapist, as well as family members who are kind of watching so they can understand what that person may be going through. So the first thing is that therapy is hard work. Don't think that you're going to go in there, tell them your problems, they're going to give you advice, you're going to go home, you're going to follow the advice, and life is going to be great. It's not ideal. I mean, I've never heard of it working that way, or working that way the right way. You need to be honest with your therapist. You need to be vulnerable, and you need to be willing to talk about things that make you really uncomfortable. Because at the end of the day, if you don't address certain things, you only address what you think you can handle, you really are going to walk away with fast food. I could have transitioned that sentence in a little better, but it didn't work so well. But again, if you go in with that mentality of I'll just take care of these little things over here and I don't have to worry about that, that's not bothering me, I would not suggest it, because you're going to come out with a sloppy burger, and you'll have gone through all this, time and effort, and have crap product at the end. I can't think of a better way to say that right now. But if you dedicate your time to it and you work hard, you're going to come out with quality. You're going to come out with healing and wholeness and different perspectives on things, and even forgiveness. And you're going to come out with so much more. It's going to be a quality thing. So it's hard work and it's painful, and that's okay. You're not alone. There are tons of people that are going to therapist's office and coming out in complete pain. I will tell you something, usually the most pain you go through is while you're in therapy. So it's not like this fun thing that you get to go do, or, you know, it's not this easy fix. It's hard work, but if you do it, you will reap the benefits. Trust me. The next thing is you cannot expect the universe to cooperate with you. You can't expect for the grocery store guy, clerk, to know that you're having a really rough time because you got out of therapy and, you know, he said something and now you're like, how could you treat me like that? I'm preaching to myself because I find that sometimes when I'm having like the roughest weeks in therapy or with memories, etc., that's when like the universe is like against me, and all of a sudden people, you know, there's cars cutting me off and things being said that, you know, may hurt me, or, you know, similar situations come up to the ones that I'm dealing with in therapy. And I'm like, I almost want to like walk around with a sign that says like fragile. I'm like working on my life. Please be careful. Don't break me. But let's be real, we can't do that, right? So we have to learn how to be in therapy, understand that it's painful, understand that it's hard work, but also understand that not everyone is going to therapy with you. So they're not hearing the same things. They're not understanding how vulnerable you are. They're not understanding the amount of pain you're in, and you can't expect them to, right? Some people are just not on your schedule. So it's going to be up to you to inform the people that you feel are important to inform, right? So your family members, it's going to be up to you. And I say this in almost every video that I talk about this. It's going to be up to you to be honest and say, this is what I'm going through and I need your help. And even that may not be like the best outcome. And that's okay too. As long as you are putting yourself out there saying, I need help and I'm giving you the opportunity to help me, then you've done your part. And then it's up to the other person to respond. And most of the time they want to respond with kindness because they don't know what to do. And I know we've talked about that in another video, but, you know, I just want to reiterate that, like, you're in therapy for your healing. No one else is going with you to that session, and no one else should be expected to be on the same page with you unless you invite them onto that page. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is, and I already touched on it a little, is, you know, you're going to touch on things and then other things that are going to come up that you never thought were an issue. So you almost have to be prepared for unexpected pain. You almost want to prepare yourself that something may come out of it that you had no clue and can feel like it breaks you. Like, I've had situations where, you know, I think I walk in and I talk about, well, this is what's bothering me and this is what I think. And, you know, I talk about it and then I realized that it was something from like 1920 when I wasn't even born. And I come home and I'm crying and I'm devastated and I'm just like confused because I'm like, well, I didn't even think that was an issue. So now you're telling me I got to work on A, B, C, and D? Like, I only signed up for A, B, and C. But it happens, and it's common, it's normal, and it's good for you. It doesn't feel good for you in the moment. I understand that, but it is so good for you. And even though I have my days still, like, I'm still working out so much, especially because I was already dealing with stuff before when I first started, and now I'm dealing with like some of that, most of that, and, you know, all the things that ECT kind of did to me. It's like super confusing. Like, am I ever gonna heal? But I can tell you with complete honesty, and like my heart beats quickly because it works. You have to, here's my encouragement to you. You keep going. You don't quit. You face the pain. You find people in your corner to help you through that. You find people who will cry with you or who will just sit and listen. And you keep going and you never look back and you don't quit. Don't quit. I cannot express that enough. Don't quit. Keep going. It's painful, that's okay. It will heal. But if you don't take care of it, it will be this festering, infected wound that will seep out every chance that it gets. And this is why I'm such an advocate for not so much for therapy. I'm an advocate for addressing mental health concerns, because I've walked too long in denial about them, or not really understanding that I was being affected by it, and made way too many mistakes that I wish I could have avoided. So that's why I always encourage people, don't give up, don't stop, push through it. It hurts, that's okay. You'll get through it and you will come out better for it. And you will learn lessons that you will carry forever. And maybe, maybe you messed up a relationship in your life, but maybe the lessons you learn from it will help you in 200 relationships in your future, to not make those same mistakes, or to try to not make up. You can't really make up for it, but to show someone that you're genuinely apologetic for it. It's not easy, friends, but you can do it. And if anybody tells you that you can't, tune them out for a little while. You can heal. If you put the work in, if you trust in God. For me, that's key, right? Trusting in God. And I could go on and on and on about that, but I do know that literally every doctor He's put in my way, every friend He's put in my way, every conversation that comes my way, there's divine appointments. There's just so much evidence that God is in even my therapy steps. He's in all of my healing steps, that I can't quit now. Like it's all or nothing. And I feel like we should all treat mental illness that way. It's all or nothing. Do we want to live in that and have it like control our lives, or do we want to work hard to overcome it and be better versions of ourselves, the real us? Because I know most of us that struggle with this, we don't want to be this version of us. I despise when I am crushed by the weight of mental illness. And I work really, really hard to come out of that. Anyway, I can feel that I'm starting to get like too passionate, and I can go on all night, but I'm gonna give it a few minutes so you can ask any questions or comment anything you want. I'm just gonna go through the comments real quick. Thanks, Pam. I love the glasses too. Amanda, I love you too. So much, so much. I'm so glad we're friends. But anyway, in closing, I almost didn't do this video, but someone sent me a video that basically told me to get up and to not quit and to keep fighting. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that sounds about right. And I could be having a bad day. I could be having a bad week. I could be crying one day. I could be happy the next. But at the end of the day, I'm going to fight this thing. And I'm going to fight for others who feel that they don't have a voice. And I'm just going to keep doing this until my life is completely restored. And the life of others around me is restored, because this is kingdom stuff. It's important stuff. We should be whole. We should experience life as a whole person, and we shouldn't let anyone stand in our way of that. So God bless. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support. It means the world to me. I don't care if only one person watches a video. If there's a possibility that it impacts them, then I am rejoicing. Love you all. Have a good night. And yes, Amanda, until we break the stigma, love you.